Major Xenoblade Chronicles 1 spoilers ahead. If you have not beaten the game, run now.
It was simple curiosity. The curiosity of a single man that destroyed the universe and created a new one. A new universe. Your world was born.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariko, and this is the first video of my series on Xenoblade Chronicles 1. There are only going to be spoilers for Xenoblade 1, so do not worry if you've not beaten Xenoblade X or Xenoblade 2. I cannot ensure people will not talk about these games in the comments, however, so I recommend if you have not played those games, don't look at the comments. So real quick, because I want to get to the video, in this series, I am exploring the deep story of Xenoblade, which has been my favorite game for over 5 years now. And I am trying to answer several questions about why things in the game are happening, and to come to a deeper understanding of the game overall. I want to be able to give you the full story about what happened in the game, because there are so many important hidden elements, deep, meaningful messages, and philosophical ideas present, which can be found in the game, that myself, and I believe the vast majority of people, didn't get to see in their playthroughs through the game. What's going on behind the scenes in this game is incredibly interesting, and even though I'm not done exploring it yet, I believe this process has already enhanced my appreciation for this game a lot. As you watch through any of my videos, I want you to keep in mind that I really do care about what you think. So if you write a comment, I will try to be very good about responding to that. Before I get into too much detail here, I would quickly like to give a huge shout out to Impetus Games, who has gone to the effort of recording all of the Xenoblade cutscenes in HD quality, with Shulk and friends traversing through the game in their original outfits. A link to his channel will be in the description and at the end of the video. I am planning out this series to mostly go through the game in order of its timeline, so starting with the beginning of the Xenoblade world, and going through the events that unfold until the universe is recreated. In this episode, I am just covering the very beginning of the universe, starring our friends Klaus, Meyneth, Alvis, and Zanza. However, here and in all videos, I will jump to cutscenes that are not in sequential order to explain points and present evidence for the specific topic of each video. So let's begin.
Where am I? This is my home.
Your home? Let's begin the experiment.
The earliest vision we have of the Xenoblade timeline is Zanza as Klaus and Meyneth aboard an Earth satellite before the Xenoblade universe even existed. They are scientists. They are involved in some sort of dangerous research, likely researching into creating new universes based on what is about to happen. Klaus spouts about how he wants to move mankind one step closer to the divine. This is probably because by creating a new universe, you are essentially a god. Despite Meyneth's warnings about the danger, about how the results have not been confirmed, Klaus acts hastily and ends up destroying the entire universe in order to create a new one. What's interesting is we can already see facets of Zanza's and Meyneth's personalities from this cutscene, and the events of Xenoblade Chronicles all make sense considering this. Meyneth is a person who cares deeply for humanity, and hence is very cautious about the dangers of their research. On the other hand, Zanza does not consider it so deeply, and acts rather recklessly by comparison. Klaus already clearly idealizes being a god, as it is his goal to move humanity further in that direction. He clearly believes that gods are higher beings compared to humans. We see these aspects of them clearly in Xenoblade Chronicles, where Zanza considers all living beings worthless, because they are not a god. And in fact, everything revolves around being a god. In the end, this leads to his downfall. Mechonis, on the other hand, highly cares for the life they created, considering them living beings and sacrificing herself for them in the end.
If not, then say goodbye to your putrid friends! Such a fool.
This is what I wish. This world belongs to you all. Create a world with no need for gods.
Anyways, back to the space station. Where is Alvis? After all, he says this is his home. And
I am Monado. I was here at the beginning, and I will proclaim the end.
well, as we know, Alvis is...
I am the administrative computer of a phase transition experiment facility, but that will mean little to you. To you, I am a machine. That is my original form.
Alvis is the administrative computer for this facility. In other words, this is Alvis. And when Klaus pushes that button, it is Alvis who actually does the work, who has the true power to recreate the universe. But regardless, it is not something of his control. So the blood of trillions of life forms, the blood of an entire universe, is on Klaus's hands. He is the largest killer of all time. But it's not to say he wanted to, however. After all, he did believe it was perfectly safe. But in the end...
It was simple curiosity. The curiosity of a single man that destroyed the universe and created a new one.
And I will restate that Zanza did, according to Alvis, destroy the universe. Because this is a very important thing to note going forward. It is appealing to think that this is all a simulation like a video game. But no, it is not. This endless sea and boundless sky is all there is left. Can you imagine how you would feel if it was your hand that did that? I would like to imagine that shortly after the universe was created and Klaus, now Zanza, would come to realize what he had done, that he would have a complete breakdown. I would not at all be surprised if Mechonis also would refuse to forgive him for ages. We do know, however, that at first, Zanza and Mechonis did not fight. In fact, they were lonely.
Zanza and Mechonis were lonely, so they created life in their own image.
And that was how we were born.
The Machina generously shared the fruits of their civilization with the peoples of the Bionis. They believed their two worlds would grow hand in hand.
Of course they would be lonely. Could you imagine if you were stuck in an empty universe with nothing around you but an endless sea? It would be absolutely terrible. The average person would probably go mad. Not only would they seek some sort of company, they would also, at the very basics, just even need a purpose for living, because there was just absolutely nothing. So I say here that the universe is nothing more than an endless sea cloaked in a boundless sky reaching as far as could possibly be imagined. But why do I think that? Well, it's probably because it's what the narration at the start of the game states, but it appears to be Shulk's perspective rather than an author insert, by how it talks about the Bionis and the Mechon. Shulk, especially at the start of the game, does not know anything more about the world than other Homs do, so he actually might be wrong about it. In other words, this shouldn't be taken completely to heart. Could it be that the world is actually round, and the Homs have yet to discover that, just like the humans before the 6th century in our world? There is some reason to doubt it after all. One NPC tells us that scientists are saying the laws of physics say the world should be round. But there's an interesting heart-to-heart between Fiora and Ricky, which reveals the answer. Ricky is curious about what is beyond the Mechonis and wants to travel the seas in search of discoveries. If you choose the why bother option, Fiora reveals that a Machina navigator told her if you travel at the speed of light for 100 years, you still won't reach a speck of land. Just wow. We're talking about 100 light years. If you were to compare that distance to the size of our solar system, that is over 6,000 times the radius of our solar system. That's a lot of water. See, this is where the idea of them being ignorant flat earthers falls apart. The technology of the High Entia and Machina is very advanced, much more advanced than ours now. Their civilization is far ahead of ours. By the way, the Homs are the farthest behind, probably due to their civilization being much newer. But if you have any doubt about the word of a Machina navigator though, Maineth herself also confirmed it.
Egil, why do you think we were born?
Ah, philosophy. Alas, I'm not very good at answering such questions.
Have you never thought about it? Never contemplated what lies beyond this world?
Beyond this world? Lady Maineth once said that aside from the Bionis and the Mechonis, this world is filled with nothing but boundless ocean.
In other words, this is a universe. This is it. Pretty sad when you think about it.
But what lies beyond that? We are still young and unable to leave the Bionis or the Mechonis. Say goodbye to our creators, our world. But one day our descendants will. They will leave this place and depart for new worlds, worlds we have never imagined, by strength of their will alone.
Leave this place? That is something I have never considered. However, it would be a truly amazing sight.
Alright, so if the world is flat, how does day and night work? As we know, in our world, it is caused by the rotation of our spherical planet, which causes different points on the outer surface to come to face the sun and then move out of sight, making the daily cycle. This would be impossible in Xenoblade if the world is flat, so how does it work? Well, conveniently, an NPC informs us about it. He says, quote, "All the lights in the night sky are ether particles. The big light source in the sky during daytime is ether as well. The light source has a light-dark cycle, which makes night and day." This actually makes sense when you actually go out in the game and take a look at it. The light source that you see in the sky never moves. Interesting, huh? Xenoblade's sky is really quite different from ours. By knowing how our world works, we make several assumptions about how the Xenoblade world works, but they aren't true. The stars we see in the Xenoblade night sky aren't actually what we consider stars. They are just ether particles. And there's no reason to believe that they are just very large but far away like they are in our universe either. They may be much closer and smaller than we thought. Actually, you know those beautiful little shooting stars we see falling from the sky in Earth's sea? On Earth, shooting stars are just space debris burning up in the atmosphere. However, in Xenoblade, we know that these are actually condensed ether particles. So, bright, pretty ether particles in the sky. Sounds familiar? In Xenoblade, the shooting stars we see are probably actually real stars, because that really fits the description of what that NPC told us about stars. Isn't that amazing? What a cool world. I love it. But wait, you might ask, didn't we go to outer space? Didn't we see the sun, planets, and stars and asteroids all around us?
It's beautiful.
Actually, I thought so too.
Is that a
But no.
ball of water?
This place is called Memory Space,
You finally
and is one of the coolest and most exciting things I've looked into in Xenoblade, and will be the topic of one of my favorite episodes I'm going to put out in this series.
you choose.
Alright, so now that we know what the universe is, You could say it's interesting that Zanza and Meyneth ended up here at all in the first place. It's incredibly lucky that being itself wasn't ended when the universe was destroyed. How did it happen that the Bionis and Mechonis came into being, as well as their respective souls, Zanza and Meyneth? The game doesn't go very far into this, but there is some information.
In order to perpetuate their existence, Zanza and Meyneth must use a being they created as a physical host. They cannot exist forever as mere souls. This world was created so that they may continue to exist. It is for this reason that its existence and future is in their hands. This is the passage of fate.
In ancient times, when the Bionis and the Mechonis came into existence, I was born as well. Just as the Bionis had a soul, I came to exist in this world as the soul of the Mechonis. I created my children on Mechonis and acquired this body.
So it is that the Bionis and Mechonis were not created by Meyneth and Zanza, but rather by Alvis, so that existence itself may continue. Now, why would Alvis, a machine, do this though? Well, while a machine, it is clear throughout Xenoblade that Alvis has an intelligence, albeit artificial or not. He might have realized that without a living being inhabiting the world might as well have not existed at all. He also, as a machine, has limited freedoms and relies on the inputs of life forms to some degree. So it's also possible this was in his coding. The nature of Alvis is something we'll look more into later, especially as we get closer to the end of the game, where Alvis is used to recreate the universe once again.
What we wish for is a world with no gods.
So the people of Bionis and Mechonis lived peacefully and happily as they progressed through their societies. All really seemed well. Why did that change? This is the opening question of our next topic in Xenoblade Chronicles: existence. Please stay tuned.